Why is there so little news or reaction to atrocities?
Breaking right now, growing fury at the British Bashing Corporation over its refusal to properly cover the persecution of Christians the world over, which in recent days and weeks includes the beheading of Christians. Two major developments on this today. First, a big protest outside BBC headquarters led by the Disciples of Christ organisation and Nick Tenconi of the UKIP party. Watch some of it.
BBC, traitors, cowards, they just lie. BBC, traitors, cowards, they just lie. BBC, traitors, cowards, they just lie.
Plus, Douglas Murray has weighed in on a new direct address. I'll get analysis from Ezra Levant of Rebel News and the independent journalist and commentator Montgomery Toms. But first, have a look at what Douglas had to say.
That is the situation of the persecuted Christian churches, particularly in the Middle East and in Africa. In recent weeks, in one incident alone in Congo, 70 Christians were abducted and beheaded by Islamist militia. That's just on one occasion. In more recent days, in Syria, the ancient Christian churches of that country have once again been under attack. It turns out that the Islamists who now run Syria aren't that great or greatly concerned about protecting Christian minorities, and who could have seen that coming? But the real question about all this, which I hear from many people, including many readers, is why is there so little attention to this? Why is there so little news or reaction to atrocities like those I just described?
Ezra Levant, the publisher of Rebel News, we have seen the most revolting anti-Semitism from the BBC. I call them the British Bashing Corporation over the past 2 years. But they're also now openly Christian as well. Can you answer Douglas Murray's question at all? Do you understand why the mainstream media are so reluctant to cover these atrocities against Christians the world over?
I think it goes to what I said a moment ago. It's because the perpetrators in those cases are politically correct, protected categories. You know, Majid Nawaz, who's a Pakistani British Muslim man himself, I remember when he went on LBC a few years ago and said, the reason Tommy Robinson is talking about the rape gangs is because every other white man is afraid to. And he said, I'm Pakistani Muslim, so I'm not afraid to say it. 80% plus of the rapists are Pakistani Muslim. And the vast majority of the victims are indigenous, white, Christian British girls. So it's the perfect storm. You have an untouchable group of people who committed the atrocities, and you have a nobody's nothing demographic who were the victim of the atrocities. And Majid Nawaz had the ability to say that because you're not going to call him Islamophobic or racist. Same thing here. These Christians being slaughtered in Iraq, who is doing the slaughtering? Because it is this, revived Al-Qaeda group in Syria, they're getting a pass. And a lot of the slaughter in Africa is from Boko Haram or other Islamist terrorist groups there. Look, people are afraid of saying it. They would rather, listen, if you would, imagine a whole city that would allow 1,400 of its girls to be raped rather than to say an unkind word. There's something wonderful about the British sense of restraint and generosity and fair play and politeness. But every once in a while, I think, I think Britain has to stand up and be a lion every once in a while. My favorite poet after Shakespeare is oh my God, I just forgot his name. How can he be my favorite poet if I forgot his name? He wrote The Man Who Would Be King. He wrote When the English Began to Hate. You know that poem? Let me read it to you. just for a first line.
Kipling.
It's
Do you
called
mean
The
Kipling?
Beginnings. It's by Kipling. I can't
Yes.
believe I forgot Kipling's
No,
name.
I
Here's
was
The
just
Beginnings from
thinking,
Kipling.
am I
can't-
correct?
You know
Yes.
what? I'm the biggest Kipling fan around. I can't believe I just missed it. Can I read to you
Please,
a few stanzas?
please.
This is Kipling about 120 years ago. It was not part of their blood. It came to them very late, with long arrears to made good, when the English began to hate. They were not easily moved. They were icy willing to wait till every count should be proved, ere the English began to hate. Their voices were even and low. Their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show when the English began to hate. I'm almost done, Dan. It was not preached to the crowd. It was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the English began to hate. Last stanza. It was not suddenly bred. It will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when time shall count from the date that the English began to hate. I think what Kipling is saying there is the British are not a hateful people. They're slow to hate. They're peaceful and happy and kind, and they're fair play, and they give people the benefit of the doubt. But if you rape all their women, and if you take advantage of their country and destroy it, maybe the British, well, I don't know. It's been 120 years since Kipling wrote this, and maybe the British are still not roused. I don't want the British to hate. I don't want a hateful Britain. I would hate to see such a thing. But how far can you push the British? How much punishment can you mete out to indigenous people, especially people in the North, especially working class people? You know, Tommy Robinson is a symptom as much as anything, as Maji Nawaz pointed out, because others are not up to the task. Others have stood down. You would not have a Tommy Robinson if others were doing their duty, political duty, police duty, doctor's duty, journalistic duty. Tommy Robinson is a symptom of an establishment class that hit the snooze button, lifeguard, sleeping, girl drowning.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, that was beautiful. Beautifully put. Lovely to hear that. But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected? Well, I've been thinking increasingly of the need for personal protection too, from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers online. I'm delighted to tell you I have now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, or virtual private network to use the full term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. Let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activity stays safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online, because it also allows you to access your favorite entertainment and news shows and channels, including streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, and Peacock. Or if you have a favorite show, this happens to me a lot, which is blocked on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Plus in your country, within seconds you can be watching as if you're in another country. If you're traveling for work or on holiday, you can also get all your favorite content from home, including sports coverage. This is an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries too. For example, France, which has blocked Rumble for so long now. I can't believe that. Effectively, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. It is true freedom, and you know I'm all about true freedom. A VPN can also save you money because you can get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. There are other benefits of Surfshark too. You can use it on unlimited devices, meaning your entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, there is a world of choice at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if this is your first time using a VPN. Go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark is so confident it's the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you'll get your money back. Go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show. Just want to go back, Montgomery, to this BBC protest, because they explained, Disciples of Christ explained on X, that they crashed a BBC staff party where they gorged themselves on our money. These journalists are celebrating their promotion of Islamist propaganda and anti-Christian bias. We say no more. Boycott the BBC. And we have some footage, actually, of that moment at the headquarters where they did end up having to put the shut us down.
Communist scum off our streets! 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 You pay for this, the taxpayer. You, the taxpayer, are the customer. You pay for this. Central London gorging themselves at the taxpayer expense. Shame on the BBC! Shame on the BBC! Shame on the BBC! Look at them having a lavish party in there on our money! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Boycott the BBC!
And then at the same protest, Nick Marcel Tanconi, the leader of UKIP, actually called on David Lammy, the foreign secretary, to be deported. He posted on X, David Lammy is a second-generation migrant who is publicly identified as Caribbean, not British, and demanded he be paid reparations. While serving as foreign secretary, Lammy has lifted sanctions on the terrorist regime in Syria and sent £50 million to the Islamist nation who are currently genociding Christians. By his own words and actions, Lammy has shown he's not British. UKIP would traitor Lammy, and he also had this to say on that at the protest.
Top tip, David Lammy. Who knows who David Lammy is? He's our foreign secretary. Guess who lifted all sanctions against Syria recently? David Lammy, you are a traitor and we will be sending you home. You don't identify as British. You are here to subvert British culture. You lifted sanctions on Syria. You call yourself a Christian. You're going home. Send him home.
Montgomery, Tom's your take on all of this?
Well, I mean, the BBC, what can I say? You mentioned obviously previously my campaigning was born out of kind of lockdowns and how I thought there was a severe amount of disinformation. It's funny I use that term, but right back at you, BBC. The BBC is an absolute joke. I would encourage anyone, of course, to not pay a TV license. But one thing which is important about kind of demonstrating as well, and protests like this, because I remember seeing this footage, it is about holding the BBC to account as the people. I don't think we should be looking at anyone to do that job for us. I mean, I'm a Christian, and when it comes to Christians taking responsibility for defending British values and even if you're not a Christian, but just a cultural Christian who appreciates British culture as it is, you have a responsibility to fight back against the kind of mocking and cover up of where we come from and what we stand for. And whilst as British people, we are very polite, there is a certain red line that we should not, there's a certain red line that has been crossed, and the Church of England, and you know what, I've been in search of a good quality church in England, in London, and I've really struggled because I haven't found one church which reflects very, very traditional Christian values. And there are churches that are flying Ukraine flags or an LGBTQIA so forth alphabet flag, and it's just incredibly frustrating. So my take on it is that, first of all, the BBC should just be defunded as a whole, but also Christians or cultural Christians or just members of the British public should be taking the BBC on, removing their TV license, and rejecting mainstream media as a whole, because it is a toxic enterprise which does not represent the true identity of British culture and also the people in general.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.